counterpart in issues of policing and security. He's also a lawyer. He's talking to us from London. Dr. Omole, give us a sense of what you think the problem is. Perhaps a lot of people will say this is not a far cry from what we've seen, historically speaking, of course, in some other parts of the world. But when this happened in other climes, how did they tackle it? Are we in a most severe situation security-wise?
Thank you very much, the problem with community policing in Nigeria is that it's been a statement has been said by several high GPs for the past 8 years or 8 to 10 years, and they've been paying lip service to it. The fundamental problem is community policing can be practiced in 40 countries in 40 different ways. So there's no one size fits all of community policing. It's more of a policing paradigm. The challenge we have in Nigeria is the fact that the backbone of community policing is effective system for gathering intelligence. That we don't have in Nigeria. Currently, if you go and report a crime in, say, Ikeja in Lagos to the police station, and then you go to VI, there's no way of finding out automatically whether you reported a crime in Ikeja, even though it's the same state. Everything's recorded in pen and paper, and the whole idea of community policing is it throws up all manner of information. But the information doesn't become intelligence until it is processed and analyzed. That is the weak point of Nigerian police at the moment. The intelligence operation is weak because it has not been resourced. And I believe the current IGP is the best we've had for a long time. And I think if given the appropriate resources, he can turn things around. The key elements, I say, for Nigeria, there are 5 key pillars, I think, for community policing. Number one, or strategies. Number one is that it is a preventive and proactive policing method. Our policing in Nigeria has largely been reactive. Police will show up after the crime has been committed. When last did we hear that the police infiltrated a gang of robbers and arrested them before the robbery was committed? We don't hear such news in Nigeria. That is one of the elements of community policing. Number two, community policing allows the police to build a early warning system, which allows the police to, pick up trends in different areas of the country and able to respond much more readily. And number three, the third element, which is actually the key element of community policing all over the world, is the psychopathology of crime is such that, for example, nobody commits armed robbery as their first crime, for example. It doesn't happen that way. An armed robber that you catch will have committed several low-level crimes. So what community policing allows the police to do is to pick up those low-level crimes, and deal with them at those low level. For example, in New York City, when Giuliani was the mayor, he introduced a zero-tolerance approach to policing, which was a form of community policing, which meant those crimes that people were not being arrested for before, like graffiti in the wall, all those little crimes, everybody was arrested for it. In 5 years, crime in New York went down by 70%. You see, because a lot of the people that grow up to become the big criminals start small. So community policing allows those early criminals, so to speak, to be caught in the system.
All right, Dr. Omole, you mentioned 3. Yeah. I wouldn't want you to lose that line of thought. You will give us the rest too, but let me quickly ask you: the Amotekun experiment, the Southeast, they've also muted the idea of a regional policing outfit, security outfit. Would you say that those concepts, the Hisba that we're hearing another one from Kaduna State today, are those viable shortcuts in achieving some of what you have described tonight?
Yes and no. And I'm not evading your question. That's the reason why I said that. The Amotekun and all the various regional security apparatus being set up, if not done properly, will replicate at the state level the problem we have at the national level. You know, part of the biggest problem we have in security generally in Nigeria today is the many silos of information, silos of security apparatus. And they don't cooperate the way they should. They rather compete with each other. And there is no joined up system that allows the police to access or harvest information from all the various silos of security or agencies. So as a result, everybody's just building their own empire. So we have a situation therefore where let's use Amotekun as an example. They catch somebody, or they notice something. They inform the police. Does the police have a system of recording that information? Does the police have a system of analyzing that information? If a further information is given to the police 2 weeks down the line, is there a way the police can join the dots between those two information to make it intelligence? Those things already don't exist because the resources are not there. So the way the legal structure in Nigeria is that policing is a federal exclusive activity. So the Amotekun and all the regional elements cannot really be law enforcement in the true sense of it, but they can serve as Alewani's system to gather intelligence, be the sight and sound of the people and feed this to the police. But the problem will still be there. What will the police do with the information they've received? And that, for me, is a fundamental problem.
Indeed, because I understand now that in some part of the United States, there is implementation of body cameras when police are being accused of randomly or killing or harming people that are in their way. And so you will see a level of improvement on what they have. We go for a break now, Dr. Omole, but give us a sense. Is there a need for a national dialogue on the issue of security, or each state should get together and fix what their problem is?
Definitely there's a need for a national dialogue. You mentioned the United States. For example, the United States have, as at last count, they have just over 18,000 police departments in the United States. So it's a very fragmented community, each university have their own police, each estate have their own police and all that. But one thing is clear, after the 9/11, a system was brought in of Homeland Security, whereby every single police unit in the United States feed their information to a central database. So the Homeland Security Department can, through a computer, know that you've committed a crime in Kansas, even though they might be in Washington. So that is what we don't have. That joined up operation is what we don't have in Nigeria. And therefore, duplicating more silos in the states will not solve the problem if we don't deal with the bigger issue.
Let's take a breather and perhaps get all of this in. Don't forget, Dr. Omole, you said 5 of those pillars. You give us the 2, but I will get back to my Abuja studio guest so that we can also get a sense of what you've said and how we need to move forward. Solution is what we're looking at when we come back from this break, everyone. To Dr. Omole, and it will lead us to the end of the program. Dr. Omole, in your final intervention tonight, give us the last 2 of the 5 pillars of community policing. A lot of people are asking online that you should give Nigerians that advice. I mean, give, the pillars that you were mentioning earlier, and give us your final thought on the way to go.
Okay, thank you. The fourth pillar is community policing allows the police to build community relations. I mean, the best practice all over the world is that for a good police community relationship to exist, individuals need to have had an interface with the police 5 times in a non-criminal related matter. Which means, for example, you're a student, you've seen police, in your assembly, once a month to address the students. You're an accident victim. You see the police helping you to come out, to help rescue the injured. So, police do all these non-criminal related matters. And when you've done that a few times, by the time you now have criminal activity, you've trusted, the trust relationship is already built. The problem in Nigeria at the moment is that almost 100% of contact of Nigerians with police is criminal in nature.
The last one, Dr. Omole, because we're out of time now. The last one, and maybe in 20 seconds, your final word.
Well, actually, last one is to improve support for the police. Community policing will improve support for the police because human beings are still the best source of intelligence for police. In terms of advice to the IGP, there are certain things the IGP can do today that are within his powers. There are certain things he cannot do because he needs resources to do them. My advice is he should do what are within the bandwidth of his powers right now.
All right.
And then demonstrate to Nigerians that if you give him more resources, he can take the job home.
Dr. Charles Omole, thank you so much for your thought tonight. He's a lawyer and expert in policing and security. Before we go, let me take some of your tweets. You've been tweeting from home and let us know your feedback on what you're watching tonight.